In this mini video, I'm going to show you how to view a graded rubric that is not submitted to a Dropbox. So this would be an assignment that is not something that you uploaded to a Dropbox. And you would find this under the grade section, which is also under the assessment section. Examples of this would be all of the speeches, the discussions. There's not going to be a rubric for the quizzes, but you will be able to view your quiz grade under the grade section. So just as we got to the Dropbox through the navigation bar, we're going to do the same thing here. So we would go under Assessments. Rather than going to Dropbox, we're going to go to the Grade section. And this is where it will list all of the grades for the course. Now a nice feature that D2L has changed is that if you go to the grades, I do always release the final calculated grade throughout the semester. So you should be able to find that easily. And it's going to be right up here. I do use a point system, so it's not going to display your grade, but it will display how many points you have earned, which is the first number, out of how many points are possible to that date. And it'll also calculate a percentage for you. If you, for some reason that's not working, if you see here 735 out of 735, that's the same as saying 735 divided by 735, which would give you, in this case it gives you 1, but it would normally give you a decimal, and then you can convert that decimal to a percentage. Okay, so how do you find a rubric for something that was graded, but something that was not submitted to a Dropbox? Well, if you go down through here, you'll see listed all of the various assignments that are required throughout the semester. So let's say that we've just done the informative speech and I have the rubric graded and you want to see what happens. So you see here that you have a 95 out of 100. And that gives you some information, but that doesn't give you everything. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look at that rubric where you will actually get some feedback. So if you click here where it says Assessment Details, that will bring up the rubric for you. Now, if you were to click on that and there's nothing, it means that nothing's been assessed yet. So maybe it's an assignment that hasn't been done. In the case of, as I said, with quizzes, there are no assessment details. And sometimes with the discussion, if you've done everything that was necessary, I don't always go in and click out the rubric, but I usually do try to do that. So anyway, so you would click that Assessment Details, and then this is going to give you your graded rubric so that you can see from your speech or from your discussion how you actually did, more than just the grade. So you can go through each part, and as you notice, with the speeches especially, I do try to comment. So you're going to see some typed comments. So it's going to tell you, oh, okay, startling statistic is good to use for an attention getter. Maybe that's something you use in your speech. And you can go through the rubric, and if you see something and maybe you didn't score exactly where you wanted to score, be sure to read that. So for example, in the introduction to delivery, I say try to engage the audience a little more, especially in the introduction where you really need to capture their attention. And so maybe your eye contact wasn't really that good and you looked at your outline or your note cards a little bit too much. And so you would want to go through there and look at everything in your rubric and everything that's written, again with the hopes that you will improve as the semester goes on. And so again, just to reinforce, I'm going to close that, just to reinforce, anything that is not submitted to a Dropbox is going to be submitted, or it's going to be graded within the grade section. To get to that, you go to Assessment, you go to Grades, and it will pull up this list. And anywhere where there is Assessment Details, you can click on that, and that's where you're going to see the rubric.